Hey everybody, it's Rockula. I'm out here at the post-apocalyptic whatever this thing is, and got to be kind of careful because there's actually construction going on. I picked the worst time to come down here and talk to you guys in front of the post-apocalyptic movie set. All right, so I just finished doing an update for my Patreon supporters, and then you can join Patreon and see those updates at patreon.com/Rockula Productions. And at the end of this dissertation, I'm also going to tell you how you can get shirts. They'll be down in the description below. I've got Multiple Man and the Ramone shirts, which I will plug at the end of this. So yeah, again, if you like what I'm doing here, you can support me on Patreon. Or I've got a Venmo thing and other things. I need to learn how to monetize YouTube. So, the subject last time was minimalism, and for a non-monetized video that's off the grid, I got a fairly decent amount of responses. So, I have the feeling that I'm never going to really completely address a topic when I first address it. So look for minimalism. You know, that's probably going to be a series of different ways that my life is affected by minimalism. But today's topic is going to be something that's very relevant at this point, and that is bullying. So this is going to be very hard for me to talk about because, first of all, I'll just put it out there. I am guilty of bullying people, and it's not just, ooh, I didn't know I was bullying people. I knew I was bullying people. I'll give you a quick background on my bullying behavior. I was always the weird kid, but then I was like that happy kid that was weird and you couldn't keep him still, and I was constantly on the go. And then I got into my preteens and I started to get really depressed and I didn't want to go out and play anymore, and I got fat. So I used to be the weird kid that said crazy things, but now I'm the fat weird kid that says crazy things. And again, I was a bully, but here's my reason for bullying. My reasons for bullying always seem to stem from some sort of rejection or some kind of, it's like negative attitudes towards me. Now, keep in mind, I'm not going to say I was always innocent and I was driven to be a bully because of other people. That's bullshit, and anybody that tells you that is bullshitting you. People choose to be bullies just like I chose to be a bully. Doesn't matter what my reasonings were, doesn't matter how much I was bullied or, made fun of or anything like that. You have to choose not to be a bully. So, so being the fat weird kid, I would usually physically bully people because I was bigger than other kids were, I was taller than they were, and since I was fatter, I weighed more than they did. So I learned very early on that I'd have to say 80% of the population that I encounter, I could physically bully them. So, somebody'd call me fat or something, and then I'd punch him in the fucking face, and then I'd get in trouble, and so on and so forth. But again, not an excuse. So the thing that stopped me from physically bullying people was when I started taking Taekwondo. And here I'm gonna stop real quick, and here's a picture of me as a black belt in Taekwondo, back when I was trying to sneak the Ramones hair I was trying to get the Ramones bowl cut past my mom, who kept trying to get me to cut my hair. So yeah, that's that picture. Anywho, so my mom wouldn't let me take karate when I was a kid like I wanted to, ever since I saw Hong Kong Phooey when I was a little boy, because she would always say, you're gonna end up hurting somebody. And so when I was about 15, I don't know, 14, 15, 16, I think I was 16 by the time I was a black belt, I started taking Taekwondo, and I don't remember where I was belt-wise or how long I'd been taking Taekwondo, but I remember I was still in the kids class. So, but I was a big old kid. I was, probably scraping the edge of the kids class, because I did eventually go to the adults class. So blah, 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 get back to the point. Well, the point is that my instructor, Bobby Autry, by the way, I know you're probably not watching this, Bobby Autry, but I want to thank you for the lesson that you taught me. So I was sparring with a younger, smaller kid, and I was overdoing it. And then Mr. Autry told everybody to stop sparring and sit down in a circle, because he was going to spar with me. And when he did, he didn't wait like half a second. We start, and then he does a roundhouse kick. Now, a roundhouse is when you turn and you kick sideways. And basically with this part of his foot, the ball of his foot, comes around and literally slaps me in the solar plexus, which made me crumple to the ground and almost vomit. And I will never ever forget that moment, because he humbled me in front of the people that saw me as a bully. And he didn't even have to even say it. That's the coolest thing, because he knew that I'd get the point. You were being a bully, so now I'm going to show you what it feels like to be bullied. And thankfully he did it without hurting me, other than popping me in the solar plexus, So yeah, that was the day that I learned not to be a physical bully. Of course, I tried. I think I got in one fight in 9th grade because I opened my fucking mouth when I shouldn't have. Anyways, so I started becoming more, I guess you could say, pacifist. The other thing that keeps me from fighting is the fear of going to jail or getting charged with assault. I don't want to go to jail or prison. So what I then did was I became an intellectual bully. Now this is, let's just say we're going into the late 80s, early 90s, when I'm teenage and then getting into my 20s and stuff. I started to realize that I had the ability to say things to people that would just get right under their skin. For some reason, one of my evil powers is the ability, how like a fighter can look at you and figure out where your weak spots are? All I need to do is talk to somebody for a little bit, especially if they're arguing with me over something, what's that word? Not semantics, but like morality or any of that bullshit. When they start bullshitting me and exposing their weaknesses, I know how to make that person cry or want to fight me. And so what I did was, instead of physically bullying people, I started intellectually or whatever, verbally bullying people. And this is in the 90s, when people didn't give a shit about politics and it wasn't as divided as it is now. So for me, it was more over like cultural stuff. And yeah, it wasn't like who they supported or anything, because nobody gave a shit back then in my circle of friends, because politics didn't affect me yet. So I have spent all of my life, especially my adult life, being a verbal bully. And then once everything got online, it was just so much easier to bully people and denigrate them because, one, the guy's probably on the other side of the world, or two, I have plenty of time to write and rewrite and edit what I want to say instead of my jumbled brain coming up with something lame. So that's when I really developed my asshole skills to the fullest, and I became a fucking troll. I love to troll people, and I love to, and this again, we're talking, now we're getting into like the 2000s when I was in that band Autonomy. And mostly I would troll people about music because we were some arrogant sons of bitches back then, and we thought we were better than everybody because we were. And I particularly had issues with like that whole new metal scene that we got caught up in. So I would talk so much shit online about other bands, which is, by the way, I'm going to do another series called How to Sabotage Your Musical Career. And one of those things is going to be talking shit online. Anywho, so yeah, we're in the 2000s, and like I'll give you a for instance, some drummer from another band, I forget what it was like, you guys are, you take too long, you're pretentious, and you guys really love the sound of yourselves. And I was like, yeah, well, you're the drumming equivalent of one of those wind-up monkey toys that bangs cymbals together. And I posted a shot of it. And from what I heard, that guy was looking for me for months after that. Anywho, so, that's the kind of stuff that I do, is like when I am insecure about my own self, I start to lash out at other people because that's what bullies do. And then, okay, so I also want to put in this point. A lot of people have said that social media is the reason why society is so fucked. And I will give you at least half of that as a point, because the other half of social media teaches people who want to be taught. And I'm one of those people. After I quit Autonomy and I was doing my own thing for a little while, I was still angry. Oh boy, was I angry. I was more angry than when I was in Autonomy because my dream band had forsaken me and I was bitter towards everything. So yeah, more bullying, more calling people morons and all that shit. But so now we're getting into the whole Facebook era. And this is when things started to change for me. Because unlike most online stuff back then, which was like MySpace, shit like that, it was basically just somebody's homepage. But now, when you get into the era of Facebook and Twitter and stuff, I didn't do Twitter so much, but I did mostly Facebook. That's when I start to hear people telling stories about how fucked up things are for them. I've always been kind of politically progressive, even though I was a bully. Because, oh yeah, another point. Progressives and liberals, you can be bullies too. But I just want to say that the difference between progressive and liberal bullying is progressives don't cause the amount of harm that conservatives do, and but they're still guilty of it. So it's kind of like the whole thing of, it's like, yeah, they're guilty of it, but they don't cause as much damage, because progressives and liberals do most of their bullying thinking that they're standing up for somebody else's rights. They're basically trying to be benevolent, even though they're misguided and they're causing more problems than they're solving. But when you're bullying to be malevolent, which, by the way, I'll own it, I bullied to be malevolent. What the fuck is that on my shirt? Yeah, I was a malevolent bully. Even though a lot of times I would strike at people that made fun of me or rejected me, when I was in prime form, I was a malevolent bully. And I knew exactly what I was doing and exactly why I wanted to do it. So, I know that's kind of a juxtaposition, that I was malevolent and yet I mostly ended up bullying because I was rejected. So, but I explained why I see, here's the thing is, I didn't think that physical bullying was the same as talking shit online. And then we'll come back again around, because, I got the ADHD. I got to go around my elbow to get to my wrist. So now I'm on Facebook and I start hearing these unedited stories of people's situations, times when they were like bullied and sexually assaulted and discriminated against and basically marginalized. And that's when I started recognizing little pieces of myself in those stories. Now again, I wasn't running around screaming racial slurs at people out windows and stuff like that, but all of my little insecurities would cause me to bully people so that I could feel power. So this is how we're going to get to this one spot, and that is, what is the reason that people are bullies? And the number one reason is they are insecure and unhappy with themselves. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how successful you are. And I mean successful on all different levels. To me, success is touring all over the place and coming back home for 2 weeks and then turning around and going back and touring all over the place, which I still don't think I'm ever going to get to do. So I just had to stop the video because I completely got off the subject and now I don't even remember where I was. So crazy brain there, all mixed up. So again, I do remember saying that the reason that most people bully is because they're unhappy with their own lives. I mean, just the other day, I saw some guy online bullying one of my friends and saying that all of us were pathetic because he makes $300,000 a year and blah, 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 blah. That person is fucking miserable. If you got to pull out your dick and wave around how much money you got, you're fucking miserable. Or you're a sociopath. And that's another thing that I want to get into. That's another huge point that I want to make about bullying. A lot of people who bully other people because, despite the fact that they got everything, they're entitled, rich, they got everything they want, they never have to worry about being like getting their ass kicked by the police or deported or any of that stuff. You know who I'm talking about. If those people still feel like they have to make other people's lives miserable, they're more than bullies, they're fucking sociopaths. And I have to admit to myself that when I see the traits that exist in the modern day sociopath, it scares the shit out of me because I see parts of myself in that. And the only reason why I feel like I'm a redeemable good person is that I see that. I see that I have tendencies that could be called sociopathic. But are you a sociopath if you recognize the fact that you're a sociopath and then try really hard not to spill it out all over on other people. I'm gonna go this way because he's going that way. So again, oh, now he's backing up. Jesus fuck. I think he's fucking with me on purpose. Anyways, so again, if you can hear all of these stories that people talk about getting assaulted, sexually assaulted, being marginalized, being bullied, all of that stuff, and all you can think of is shut up and quit whining, you're a sociopath. You need help. Because I've felt like that on certain occasions, and now I'm kind of ashamed of that. Oh, let's talk about this. I don't know what this thing is called that's like a medical term, but I can still see people, I can still replay videos in my head of myself bullying people. I remember distinctly a kid when I was in like grade school, maybe third or fourth grade, some kid that I had an argument with or something like that, and he was riding his bike down the street and I just walked over and kicked him off his bike. And it was because I fucking was a little potential sociopath. And also, get this, my parents tried really hard to keep me from being a bully. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons why my mom waited so long for me to learn karate, because she really thought I was going to hurt somebody, and I probably would have. So I understand people that are raised by bullies to become bullies, but at some point you have to be able to see all the things that people are saying, and if you can't empathize with them, you've got major issues. If you think that they're the reasons for your problems, if you think that people that are below you are taking from you and not the people above you, then you've got serious problems and you need to learn more about yourself. Which brings me to another subject, which is empathy versus sympathy. Now, a lot of people claim to have empathy, but what they really have is sympathy. These people aren't complete sociopaths. They're normal people who have had they've kind of shut themselves off just so that they can exist. And they get frustrated with their lack of mobility, and then someone who looks like them or someone who they wish they were like tells them that somebody else is their problem. And so they focus on those people. And it's just one of those things of you have to take ownership of your own issues, because you can't tell me that you see what you see and you can't empathize. So sympathy means, oh, I feel bad for the person that I identify with, that person that looks like me, that person in the same class, that person of the same religion. You see something happen to them and you post, I feel so bad for this person or this group of people, blah, blah, blah. But you don't reserve that kind of thought process for the kind of people that don't look anything like you and have different sets of values. Me personally, I'm not religious at all. The only issue that I have with religion is when you use it as a tool to make other people suffer and to marginalize them and bully them. If you use religion to keep yourself on the straight and narrow and you don't bother anybody, I'm all for it. But, I don't discriminate against religions because I don't believe in any of them. So they're all the same to me. Okay, so let's talk about the last part of this video, which is online bullying. I still, when I call myself a recovering bully, that means because I still can be drawn back into it again. But now, instead of bullying people that, I see as easy targets or something, I kind of bully the bullies. And I know I shouldn't do it. And for every 10 times I stop and say don't do it, there's that one time that somebody just really, really needs to be put in their place and corrected in front of everybody. And I still do it, and I wish I couldn't. And I've gotten to the point now where on Facebook, if somebody, I don't have a problem with people standing up for themselves and posting political content on Facebook, but you do know that you're going to get trolls, and not just bots, but like actual fucking people who are so frustrated the only way that they can feel any kind of power over their own lives is to denigrate and punch down. So I've gotten to the point now where it doesn't make me feel any better after I've done it. It just makes me feel like I just fucking, it's kind of like when, oh no, I went and drank again, or oh no, I went and did drugs again when I was trying to quit. It's like, it never worked, because those people, and again, we're going to go back to my motivations as a bully. And yeah, this is something that I didn't really cover. Yeah, you're all unhappy and shit like that when you're a bully. But one of the rewards of bullying is the feeling of power. You get to feel like, oh, I just pissed that person off that pisses me off because I blame them for my troubles. So now I'm going to go online and basically just be a dick in the form of, oh yeah, I'm trying to stand up for my beliefs and everything. But no, you're not. You're just being a contrarian dick, just like I am. I'm a contrarian dick, but at least I know it, and I try really hard. Every day I try to be less and less of a contrarian dick. And I don't have any reason to be a contrarian dick. Nobody's marginalizing me. Look at me. Nobody marginalizes people like me. I got no reason to be angry at the world. So, yeah, people do it for power. And when you debate them, quote unquote, I know fingers, when you debate an online troll, you're not doing anything other than giving them exactly what they want, which is attention, because they can't get attention for themselves in normal life. Me personally, I get tons of attention, but that's because I'm a talented person that makes art that other people enjoy. Plus I'm charming and witty and a little bit good looking. But you get these people that they can hide behind their screen. They can say things just to, it's like, and I know what it's like because that's the way I felt. That's the power that I felt when I was pissing off people that didn't agree with me on music in the early 2000s. I enjoyed really pissing those people off. And that's what they're doing. And if they're monetized, not only are they enjoying how much they're pissing you off, but they're making money off of pissing you off. So it's kind of like the double whammy. I'm pissing you off and I'm also getting paid for doing it. So fuck you. Why wouldn't you be an online troll nowadays if you can make money off of it? If you are some talentless little fuck who all you have to do is repost right-wing memes and get liberals to debate you and call you names online with your little blue check, that's all you are. You're just a fucking low-level goddamn troll who's making money off of other people's misery, and you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. Go out and get a real goddamn job. Seriously. So it's like the only people that really benefit from all of this extremism are the people at the top. Because, I mean, you could say it a million times, oh yeah, the billionaires are fucking us and turning us against each other. But until you really understand how they do it and what they do to you and how they manipulate you on your own personal terms, you're never going to climb out of that fucking hole. And I hope all of you climb out of that hole, because I'd rather be your friends. I want more friends. I don't need more friends, but I sure as hell don't need more enemies. And I don't need people reminding me how ugly the fucking world is every time I want to talk to my friends on Facebook. So, yeah, to recap, I'm a bully, but I know it. And at least I have enough, humanity to recognize my weaknesses. And hopefully if you're watching this and you see me and you're like, that's me. I'm kind of like that, but I'm on the other side. Hey man, it don't hurt nothing to change who you are. You can always invent yourself. You don't have to be the person that, you don't have to be that guy in high school that you were. You don't have to be that person that your parents taught to be racist or homophobic or myopic, You don't have to be that person at all. You can be a much better person, and you don't have to surround yourself with other fucking dicks that are just like you. You can become an actual good person. I hope everybody enjoys this video and takes it in the positive nature that it is intended. Again, I gotta pimp myself. I do a couple of musical things, projects. One is Multiple Man, which is an experimental thing. Also over here, I'm going to show you some other pictures of my t-shirts for the Ramone, a one-man tribute band. So please buy t-shirts from me and help me feed myself till I can get a decent job. Patreon.com/Rockula Productions. I'm putting my Venmo. I think I can put my PayPal in there. I still don't know shit. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get monetized. I don't think they're going to let me until I get a certain number of views, blah, blah, blah. So, yes, thanks for listening. Feel free to comment. And if you comment with a bunch of racist bullshit, I'm going to eliminate your comments. So don't bother. But if you don't agree with me and you want to be civil and you don't want to pull a bunch of that fucking hateful shit on me, I'd be glad to hear your side of the story. And I may still agree with you a little bit, but all right. Thank you everybody for your attention. I'm out by the post-apocalyptic movie set. I'm Rockula. Thanks for watching.